Goddess. Today I'm sharing how I stay stress-free even in hyper-stress situations, okay? Some of you might already know I am moving from Connecticut to Florida. And for most people, moving, packing, uprooting your whole life, moving, across the country and away to a place I've never lived in, I've only visited Florida, a lot of people would be extremely stressed. And there's a lot of situations in life where we are under bigger stress that's sort of outside our control. It's just stressful. And so I'm in that period right now, and a lot of people around me are really surprised at how peaceful, calm, relaxed, chill, easygoing I am throughout all of this. And trust me when I tell you that was not how I used to be. So today I want to spill the 7 things that I think have contributed to me being able to be calm as a cucumber in a high stress situation. And before I jump into those, I really want to stress the fact that being stress-free is not my nature. I am a natural worrywart. I am someone who was labeled as sensitive. From the minute I was born, I was already a sensitive child. I am someone who is an INFJ. If you know, you know. I'm someone who went through adverse childhood events. I'm someone who was so stressed, put so much pressure on myself, especially in school, that as a teenager, I developed hormonal imbalances and later was diagnosed with PCOS. So when I tell you I went through hell and back to be able to recreate myself as someone who is calm and not stressed and no longer crumbling under so much immense pressure and being sensitive and feeling it all, that is why this video is so important to me, because high achieving women, we have big hearts, big dreams, big goals, and we cannot achieve them if we have to live in this kind of stress all the time. That prevents us from being as powerful as we can be, and most importantly, as happy and healthy as we can be. So let's jump right in. Okay, this first one is going to be a bigger chunk because it is the foundation, but the first thing that I did to be able to be stress-free in high stress eras in my life is I worked on the foundation, which is to get out of survival mode. And this is where most high achieving women live in. We live in survival mode since we were kids. If you're a daughter of immigrants like me, this might be just the environment you were raised in. Trauma causes us to get stuck in that survival mode. And what it basically is our nervous system is constantly on alert. It's hyper vigilant. It's always looking for danger. It's always scanning. And so much energy goes into that. And then we wonder why we're exhausted and we don't have the energy to do what we want to do and what we have to do. And so I used to be completely unaware of my nervous system or how my body being an alarm is what was causing my anxiety, which is what made me so stressed and feel so awful and out of control. And this is not something that can be done overnight, but this is definitely something where there's a lot of resources online to teach you how to regulate your nervous system. I do this with my clients as well, and some of my favorite tools for this are, I like to think about it as body, mind, and heart. Okay, so for the body, it's actually really important for women to make our bodies feel safe. And the best way we can do that is by nourishing our bodies. I have been following the pro-metabolic way of eating since 2020, and I'm never going back. In fact, when I used to have restrictive diets, keto, low calorie, no gluten, no sugar, no dairy, all that stuff, especially when I thought that was causing my PCOS, spoiler alert, the stress was the biggest reason for why I was so sick, why my hormones were so imbalanced. It wasn't, me eating a piece of bread or having some yogurt. But this pro-metabolic way of eating really eased so much anxiety for me because it taught me how to create safety in my body from inside out by the way I eat. And it's not just what I'm eating, but also doing things like eating within the first hour of waking. As women, especially if we don't eat after waking, a lot of us are taught to skip breakfast. And for some of us, that is very normal and natural for you. But for the majority of us, it tells our body that there's scarcity and that there's no food. Maybe there's famine, and that causes more stress hormones to come out, which then cascade throughout the day. So that's number 1, making sure my body felt safe. Number 2, what I learned is that my brain, as powerful as it is, and if you're here, you probably resonate with having a Ferrari brain. What I learned is that actually, because of that survival mode and the survival mechanisms I learned, there was neural pathways in my brain that created this inner critic that was stressing me out even more. And I was sabotaging myself by stressing myself the fuck out, basically. And so I really had to conquer this inner critic and rewire the patterns in my brain that were always telling me that I'm not good enough, that were telling me I didn't do it fast enough, that I could have done it more perfectly, that I ain't shit, that I'm going to be abandoned. And all this pressure I was causing was coming from my brain. And I didn't even realize how much pressure I was under and what a weight on my shoulder my own brain was to me, that inner critic, that voice inside my head, that self-talk, until I worked on removing that, breaking up with those patterns and creating new neural pathways. The best method I found, especially for high achieving women with these Ferrari brains, is called the Positive Intelligence Program. This is something that I offer to my clients, and I say it is foundational because we can work on your career, we can work on your business or your brand, we can work on your health, your happiness, your marriage, anything that you want, your dreams. But if your mindset isn't in the right place, and this is so much deeper than mindset, we're going to talk about mindset, but this is more like how the programming in your brain, the primal programming, because actually the inner critic hijacks the primal part of our brain. And when blood flows there, the blood doesn't flow to the prefrontal cortex, which is where we have the best human qualities beyond survival, such as creativity, empathy, complex problem solving, farsightedness, thinking about the future instead of, just immediate dangers. And so long story short, the Positive Intelligence Program, it just takes 6 weeks for the foundational program. You do it in an app and it completely rewires your brain. And when your brain is no longer triggering you, your body also relaxes. And this is how we get out of that fight or flight response and that survival mode. And then finally, I'm just going to throw the heart in there as a foundational thing for the nervous system, because a lot of the pain and anxiety that we feel is when we're not actually following our hearts, not tuning into how we feel, especially as ambitious women. We're taught to numb our emotions, suppress our emotions, bulldoze over our emotions instead of feel them. But those emotions want to be heard. And if they're not heard, they're going to cause other physical symptoms. For me, it was acne. It was hormonal imbalances. It was period pain. It was migraines. I used to get migraines all the time because I was suppressing the feelings and I didn't want to feel them. And so I would distract myself, especially with work and achieving goals. But those emotions are going to come out regardless. And so as high achieving women, we do need to learn and create the safety that it is safe to feel. And I promise you, the more that you do that, the safer your body feels, the more these emotions are not a big deal. You can just process them and move on with your life. All right, I know that was a big one. These next 6 are going to go quicker, but that was really the foundational one. In order to not be stressed, you need a strong foundation, a strong nervous system, and you can't be in survival mode. In survival mode, everything is a threat, everything is more stressful, and we just add on more stress to ourselves when we are stuck in that survival loop. So for example, if I were in survival mode right now, I would be a wreck. And this additional stress of having to move would probably put me above my capacity to cope. And I would definitely be crashing out, spazzing out, crying, just having an absolute awful time. Second thing that allows me to be stress-free as a hyperachieving woman in hyper-stress situations is something I've practiced is letting go of control. Girl, this getting rid of my need to control myself and everyone around me and everything was like an exorcism, okay? This demon did not want to leave, okay? This is so hardwired in us high-achieving women to control, and oftentimes we think our success comes from our ability to control, but it is limited. We reach a point where our controlling behavior starts to have a lower ROI. It's just no longer worth it because it's stressing us out. I want you to imagine the more you're trying to control something, like let's say you're trying to control your calories, the more out of control you feel. This is why, and this is what happened to me when I was starving myself and trying to control and limit my calories, I then started binging. Because when you try to control so much, your body rebels, your psyche rebels. It's not normal, it's not sustainable. And so this need to control is something as hyperachieving women, if you don't want to live in that stressful cortisol zone, which causes premature aging and unhappiness and doesn't make us good, partners to be with or even friends, I highly recommend that you really start to look at how your need to control is controlling your life and controlling you and severely limiting your health and happiness. And actually, as part of the positive intelligence program that I mentioned, they identified 9 saboteurs. These are across the world, regardless of gender, age, ethnicity. There are 9 ways that as humans that we sabotage ourselves in our minds. And one saboteur is called the controller. And that is one of my main ones. So I definitely worked on it inside the positive intelligence program, but then I had to continue working on the controller because it literally had so much control over me. And I have to say, I used to think my controller defined who I am, but now that I'm no longer subscribing to that controllingness, I see that this calm version of me is who I was meant to be all along. That controllingness was a trauma response. It was me trying to control the chaotic world I grew up in, and it was necessary then. I never want to villainize our sabotaging tendencies. Even our inner critic was there to protect us. But I see now how free I am now that I've conquered that part of me that always wants to control. So to give you the example of me moving right now, the old me would want to control every aspect of this move. What's going, where are we packing it, when are we going, what furniture are we buying for this new place. I would be a micromanager and I would annoy my husband. And bless him, he met me 19 years ago, so he definitely knows the controlling side of me. I used to be the kind of person who used to go on vacation and would plan out the vacation from sunrise to night. And it was like 20-minute increments. I was crazy. I genuinely was out of my mind. So in this move, I'm no longer participating in that. I'm not controlling that. I am not worrying, and I'm not adding more stress. I'm only controlling what I can control and genuinely just letting go of the rest. So speaking of letting go, that is number 3. The third thing that has really helped me live this stress-free life, despite being this natural, anxious, sensitive soul, is I have learned to let go, and I've learned to go with the flow, and I've learned to surrender. And girl, if you are cringing, I feel you. I used to feel the same way. I used to be like, ew, go with the flow. How are you going to be successful? How are you going to reach your goals? You actually reach your goals better, dare I say faster, and like I said, without sacrificing your fucking joy, without sacrificing your beauty and health, because we know that these stress hormones wreak havoc inside and outside our bodies. And so going with the flow, it's so funny. Like if Anna from 5 years ago saw this, she'd be like, what? Going with the flow? Ew. But going with the flow first of all, it takes courage. You have to just take the leap. You have to free fall. And going back to point 2 and control, high achieving women, we really struggle with letting go of control and taking that leap. However, high achieving women are courageous. If there's anything I've noticed across the board of my brilliant clients, we are bold, we are courageous, we are audacious. And so I invite you to audaciously surrender and see how you can go with the flow more often. Here's a concrete example of how to do that. One way that we stress ourselves out and don't go with the flow is we're constantly solving problems that haven't even happened yet. We think that if we can get ahead of the problem, we'll be safer and more peaceful, but that is not the case at all. What actually happens is we're stressed out and not going with the flow, and we become very ungrounded. Our nervous system becomes dysregulated, and then guess what? Our problem-solving skills diminish. Our creativity diminishes, and everything else basically goes to shit. So I've noticed that as I go with the flow, I'm more in the present moment. And in the present moment, I trust that I can handle whatever is in front of me. And if it's not happening right now, if it's not a problem, if it's not real, I choose not to worry about it. I choose not to think about it. I choose not to problem solve into the future. I choose to focus on what's happening now, go with the flow, and I have trust, and this takes that courage, but I trust that everything will work out And I trust that whatever happens, I can handle. And I trust that whatever problems do arise, I can handle them when they happen. And I don't have to stress myself by trying to solve them prematurely when they haven't happened yet and most likely will not happen. And a big part of going with the flow is I have decided to assume the best. I have decided that everything will work out. Everything is going to be okay. Everything always works out for me. And that prevents me from having to solve these imaginary future problems, because if I'm trusting that everything's going to be okay, why would I need to worry about anything? So that is a big way I keep the stress at bay, is going with this flow, being in the moment and not allowing myself to go into the future and problem solve and stress myself out for reasons that are not even real yet or may not be real ever. And speaking of assuming the best, the fourth thing that I've done, this one's yummy, is I have just assumed, or not assumed, I have decided that things can be easy for me. I have been walking around this earth thinking, even something like moving, typically stressful, I think, how can I make this easy? Dare I say, how can I make this fun? How can I make this a magical time for myself? How can I still find the joy in the mundane despite having to sort all my stuff, declutter, put it in boxes, label it, keep it organized, blah blah blah. How can I still make this easy? How can it be easy? And in fact, that's my new standard. My standard is things are easy for me. And so this is a mindset shift I highly recommend for high achieving women, because let's be honest, we with our powerful brains often make things more complicated and harder, more difficult, more stressful than they need to be. And so when I completely flip that and I assume it's going to be easy, and it's of course it's going to be easy, guess what? Things are easy. This move has been hella easy. And before you think this is pure feminine energy here, no, 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 no. A high achieving woman needs to learn how to, first of all, high achieving women have mastered the masculine energy and they need more feminine energy. And that's where a lot of this ease, flow, surrender comes in. That's that feminine energy. But we still need to be able to use our powerful masculine energy. And so this is what I do. And another way that I keep stress free is that I prioritize. Okay. I am laser focused and I prioritize. And because I prioritize, I don't overwhelm myself. So for example, right now I'm in this moving stage. I am not prioritizing going on a walk every single day or for a full hour. I am not prioritizing eating the most healthiest balanced meals. There's been a lot of chicken tendies around here, okay? And I do it guilt-free and no regrets, because right now I'm not focusing on for example, losing weight or being hyper healthy. I feel amazing, so it's not like I have to mitigate symptoms, but also I'm giving myself a free pass because I know what I'm prioritizing now. And this focus allows me to not, once again, hyper control every part of my life when I have this big thing happening right now. Same thing in my business. Obviously, I'm still showing up. I have my calls, I have my clients, I have my group programs, I have my online community, the Goddess Temple that I'm in every day. But I'm not putting additional pressure on myself, for example, to launch something new or offer an older program of mine. I'm not out here creating like business goals when I know I have to move. And prioritizing is important because high achieving women, we're super women. We can handle a lot, but just because we can doesn't mean we should. And that's what I've learned. A lot of us high achieving women, we think if we have 3 goals, that makes us better and more successful. But what I found, it really is true. When we focus on one goal at a time, we get better results. So for example, 2 years ago, when I was focusing on weight loss, I was laser focused on that. And so everything else had a pass. And I lost weight and I've been able to keep it off, and it wasn't stressful because I wasn't trying to juggle 80 plates in the air. We need to stop doing that. It is not a badge of honor to be multitasking, having multiple goals at once. Laser focusing and allowing yourself to prioritize what's important now is the key word, is key, I think, to being a high achieving woman who not only isn't as stressed, but also achieves those goals. Being laser focused is a superpower. And number 6, I have another masculine power, and that is staying organized. Okay. The reason why I'm so stress-free is because I don't have mental clutter in my brain, because I write things down or I put them in my notes on my phone. I have a plan. I'm organized. For example, with the moving, I made a list of everything I have to pack, things I have to grab from the attic, from storage, etc. Things I had to handle over here, like get my dog groomed, get my eyeglasses. Everything was organized and I never have to worry about it. I don't have, so then when I'm out there with clients or on my walk, I don't have to be stressed thinking, what else did I have to do? What else do I have to pack? Organization is the key to me living this life of ease. This is the goddess life without skipping a beat, without, nothing being derailed in my life, with everything still everything still functioning on a high level, is this habit of organization. So instead of organization being a one-time thing I do once every couple months to organize my life, it's just something I do all the time. If I have an idea or for content or for a video, I immediately write it down. I love Trello. Trello is an app that you can have on your computer, on your phone, and I love it because I have so many things organized in Trello. I'll have an idea for a video, I'll drop it in my Trello. If I'm thinking about something nice I want to do for my friend or a gift that came to my mind, pop, I have a Trello board for that. And so everything is organized. So my mind is clutter free. It is so liberating to just be organized and just keep things organized as you go, as opposed to clean up a big pile of mess and clutter later. Just keep stuff organized. It's sort of like in your room, you want to or in your home, you want to keep things relatively clean and organized, because once it gets really messy, it's so overwhelming, it's stressful. And not only that, all those days when you don't clean your house, you know what I'm talking about. You're thinking about it, you're feeling bad about it, you're worrying about it, you're stressing yourself out. I have had to learn, true story, how to stay organized to survive. That is just, I'm going to be very upfront about that. I had to become hyper organized in order to survive. And now I see how that habit really, really supports me in living this more feminine, easy flow life, because I don't have all that mental clutter or pressure or the need to remember, because I just write it down. Set it and forget it is my vibe. And this last one, we're going to go back to a feminine one. Point number 7, how I stay stress-free as a high achieving woman, is I have learned to allow people to help me, to allow people to support me, to get help. I used to be so hyper independent. I can't even explain it to you. I was such a lone wolf. I thought I had to do everything on my own because I could, and also because it was my badge of honor, and also because I felt like no one could do it like me, and no one gets it, and no one has the same standards as me, blah, blah, blah. No one can help me. That was a victim mentality that I had. By the way, victim is another saboteur inside Positive Intelligence and one of my top ones, and I had to conquer the victim. And yeah, I have learned to receive. I have learned how to soften into allowing people to help me. So for example, in the moving, I am absolutely allowing my husband to take the lead. I am absolutely allowing him to worry about the truck, the van versus what's going to go in the parcel, and worry about the tracking numbers of the stuff that's being delivered to our new home, blah, blah, blah. I'm also Wojtek's mom, my mother-in-law, whom I love. She is coming tonight and she's going to help us finish up the packing this weekend. And I am allowing that. And this goes back to not controlling, right? I'm not controlling. I'm not micromanaging. I'm welcoming support and I'm appreciative of it. And I see how that helps me, even if it's not exactly how I would do it. Once again, I'm going with the flow and I'm trusting that everything will work out for the best. As high achieving women who want to be goddesses, we have to learn how to receive. And that is actually, I think, one of the hardest things for us. It is so hard. We've been burnt. We've been through so much. A lot of times we could only depend on ourselves. We've survived that way. But just because that has helped us, like I keep saying, it allows us to reach a certain point. If we truly want to reach our next level of everything, success, abundance, happiness, health, joy, living, we have to soften into being able to receive. And once again, I'm going to say it requires courage. It requires to let go, take that leap, trust, and it is worth it. It is worth it because I feel so yummily supported now, not just by my husband and my mother-in-law, by my friends, by my sister. I feel so deliciously supported. I feel like I am precious, and I'm finally seeing that I am a precious being. I'm not just a workhorse superwoman that can do everything on her own. I am powerful, and I get to be supported and nourished and loved on. And honestly, yeah, it's made my life so much more beautiful and less stressful to know that I can fall back and I don't always have to be strong. Yeah. All right, ladies, I am going to finish this up here. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. And if you are a goddess and you want to be surrounded by other goddesses and you love these kind of conversations about high achieving women who want less stress, more joy, and success instead, I invite you to join us inside the Goddess Temple. This is my intimate and exclusive community. Oh, look at that bird. This is my intimate community. We have a Telegram temple. We have monthly goddess gatherings. And this is the behind the scenes. All of the behind the scenes of how I'm living my goddess life is inside this goddess temple. And in the month of September, we are working on our fall bucket lists. And I even have a fall bucket list inspiration document with over 100 ideas of how you can have the juiciest, yummiest, most magical, most whimsical fall season of your life. So anyway, if that sounds good to you, you can join us. I'll drop the link. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Go out there, be beautiful, be magical, stay stress free.